Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Broken Worship Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Mitchell. July was quite a month. It felt so busy, and towards the end of the month, it was brutally hot. I hope that everyone had a great month and stayed cool and had their ACs working. Even though it was brutally hot, it was a great month. As I said in the last episode, I had a great honeymoon and a great 4th of July. I also had a great birthday. Debbie and I went to Sioux Falls and hung out with our buddy Big Mike to go to Applebee's to have dinner, and also went to Chevy's to get a margarita. Debbie and Big Mike always do a great job at helping make my birthday special. Even though we didn't get to do our yearly road trip, it was still a great day. I also had the opportunity to go to a great metal show with my buddy Taylor, which I will talk more about in the What's New with Music segment. Within the last few weeks, I have spent a majority of my free time making photo collages and photo books from our wedding photos. That has been a lot of work, but they turned out amazing. My buddy Alex did such a great job with our wedding photos and capturing the moments. If Alex is listening, thank you so much, my dude. I also wanted to say that Broken Worship had a huge sale for my birthday from July 25th to July 31st. I didn't get to announce this on July's podcast episode, but hopefully you paid attention to the Broken Worship social media and didn't miss out. But if you did happen to miss out, don't worry, there will be some awesome things ahead. Speaking of awesome things ahead, August 1st was a big day for Broken Worship and also for my cleaning company. August 1st is the 1-year anniversary of me completely taking a leap of faith, leaving my full-time job to pursue my dreams of starting a cleaning company called D2Z Cleaning and writing my first ever hardcover chapter book called Saving Grace Is Not About You Anymore. It is also the 1-year anniversary of probably my favorite poetry book that I have written called Broken Worship, Ground to Stand On, as well as the release of my spoken word video for my poem called Born Again. It's crazy how time goes. Part of me is like, holy shit, it's already been a year. It feels like that just happened yesterday. And then there's a part of me that's like, wow, that's crazy. It was a crazy, challenging, and scary year. It's definitely not easy not having a steady paycheck, and I know it took Debbie a huge leap of faith in allowing me to do this as well, but I am so grateful. To celebrate the 1-year anniversary of all of that, I have just released a brand new spoken word video for my poem called Moments. This video is incredible. It's something different. It's so poetic and beautiful. I believe this video shares so much truth and really makes you think. My buddy Alex created a masterpiece with this one. I hope you guys will all check it out. I will provide the YouTube link to this video called Moments in the description below. I really hope you guys will enjoy this video and will share it with others, because this video is something different. I believe it's truly a masterpiece. Thank you so much, Alex, for creating this. You are truly an amazing person. Oh, and one more thing. With the release of this new video, there is some new merch designs available on my website that correlates with the Moments video, and I think you will really dig them. All of the Broken Worship merch is available on the Broken Worship website, which will also be provided in the description below. So now I think it's time to dig into the segment of What's New with Music? The end of July had quite a bit of new music that released, which I was super excited about. The 3 new singles that I want to talk about are Silent Planet's new song called Antimatter, Beartooth's new song called Might Love Myself, and a new band that I have recently found out about called So Much Hope Buried, who just released a new single called Apparition. But first I wanted to briefly share about my experience about going to a huge metal show in Sioux Falls at the Danny Sanford with my buddy Taylor. The show had the bands from Ash to New, Fit for a King, Motionless in White, and In This Moment. Since I had a cleaning job earlier that day, I was in a rush to get there, and I missed the opening band called From Ashes to New. But Taylor said they had a really good set. The band that I really wanted to see was Fit for a King, which they did amazing. They played some bangers, and they killed it. I also did some screaming along with the lyrics in the crowd. I haven't screamed in years, pretty much since I was in Rebuild the Fallen. So of course it was still kind of rusty, but I still kind of have it, which felt super good. I loved every song Fit for a King played. My only complaint was that I wish they had a longer set. But they weren't the headliner, so as they say, it is what it is. Next was Motionless in White. I followed Motionless in White for quite a few years now, and they really did an amazing job. Chris Motionless, who is the vocalist of the band, is truly a phenomenal vocalist. His screams are awesome, and his clean singing is truly amazing. He really does have a beautiful singing voice. One thing that I was really surprised to find out about Motionless in White in this set was that they have been a band for 20 years. That made my mouth drop open. That's a long time for a touring metal band. I am so glad that they are still doing it. One thing I always try to say about Motionless in White is that they definitely are not a Christian band by any means, but I really respect them because they aren't disrespectful towards Christians. In the modern metalcore scene, there is definitely a balance of Christian and non-Christian bands, and it's interesting to see how they connect with each other. I believe they pretty much all have to know each other because they are on similar record labels and do similar tours. For me personally, I don't feel the need to strictly listen to Christian bands, but I do need to connect to the band's message and respect the members of that band that I listen to. I won't say the band name publicly out of privacy and not to talk shit on a band, but I have heard a story of a touring band that always stuck with me. Someone that I know filled in on a tour for an iconic Christian metalcore band, and that band went on a tour with a big named band in the metalcore scene. The non-Christian band, before the tour, told the Christian band not to talk about Jesus on the tour. And the Christian band said that they wouldn't do that. To keep the Christian band on the tour, they agreed. So the first show on the tour, the Christian band played and they talked about Jesus. and the non-Christian band got upset and tried to kick them off the tour. I don't remember exactly if one of the bands left that tour or not, but either way, that really made me lose all respect for that band. It's not like the Christian band was talking shit about the non-Christian band's beliefs. People can disagree and still get along. I believe that is important on both ends of the spectrum. I know that a lot of Christians judge non-Christians, and I'm not letting them off the hook either. But I believe if you want to be a good and decent person, you need to work on mutual respect and have some common decency. But anyways, that's the end of that tangent. But back to Motionless in White. I loved their set, and I loved the songs they played. I wish that they would have played the songs Immaculate Misconception and Abigail. But I knew that was a long shot because they were on their very first album. But yeah. Anyways, I loved Motionless in White's performance. I didn't end up staying for In This Moment set, but Taylor said they did really good too. So I'm very glad I went. I wish I would have dragged Debbie along because she hasn't been to a true metal show before. But she had to work the next day, so I gave her a break. But next time, I'm definitely dragging her butt with me. So now I want to talk about Silent Planet's new single called Antimatter. This song is definitely a different sound for Silent Planet. I feel like there's more clean vocals, and it's almost a beatboxy sound. Very bassy. There are some slow, vibey parts of the song, and then some really aggressive parts. I think overall, it's really solid, and you can tell they are continually trying to grow and develop their sound. I can't say that it's my all-time favorite song from them, for me personally, but I definitely dig it. I would probably rate this song a solid B+ to an A-. The next song is called Might Love Myself by Beartooth. The first comment that I have to say about this song is that, and I definitely don't blame Caleb, who is the vocalist of this band. I think in the last year or so, he got a new chest piece tattoo. The tattoo is either of a lion or a bear, but to me personally it looks more like a lion, which to me it would make more sense for him to get a bear tattoo because his band is called Beartooth. But no judgment, a tattoo is very important and very much an individual thing. So to each their own, and the tattoo is actually really awesome. But anyways, I've noticed on his Instagram, he has been playing shows with his shirt off. And in this video, he has his shirt off as well. I believe it is to show off his tattoo. And who can blame him for that? Especially with the excitement of a new tattoo. Jeez, it feels like I've been going on a bunch of tangents in this music segment. But anyways... This song is a really positive and upbeat song. It's a song about overcoming his depression and actually loving himself and not hating who he has become. I feel like this song is a really important song for Caleb, and he is actually becoming comfortable in his own skin. I love the line of the song, "I'm exactly who I want to be." I definitely dig this song, and I truly believe this is an important song for Caleb himself. Here's another tangent for you guys. So I have followed Caleb for a long time, since he was in the band Attack Attack, but especially when he was the lead vocalist for their album called This Means War. From that moment on, I really connected with him and appreciated him as a vocalist. Then he dropped out of the band called Attack Attack and had to confront that he was an alcoholic. He then came clean and came back to God and started his solo project called Beartooth. That is when I really started paying attention to him. I knew that Caleb recorded every part of the Beartooth albums, and his band members played his songs. But the thing that I believe was the moment I believe he is the most talented vocalist of the metalcore scene is the Beartooth documentary on YouTube called The Blackbird Session, which is over a 20-minute video. Seeing how vulnerable he is and how much he values what he is doing put him on a whole another level for me. And to this day, I believe he is the best and most talented vocalist out there. I don't care if you like his music or not. I believe you can't say that he isn't talented. And I believe it's really awesome seeing Caleb on this journey and getting to a better place. I believe this song called Might Love Myself really shows that he is getting into a better place. I gotta give this song a solid A+. So the last song I wanted to talk about is from a band that I recently found out about called So Much Hope Buried, with their new single called Apparition. So I found out about this band pretty recently with their album called Sentiment that I have reviewed in an earlier episode, but I thought that album was amazing. It's poetic, beautiful, and just amazing. Then I found out about their new single, Apparition, and boy, oh boy, did I fall in love with it. It's just perfect. It's poetic, beautiful, and it hits hard. Not in like a breakdown way with screaming, but just musically. It's so talented and it's really catchy. This song hits hard about dealing with the topic of the hurt of losing someone and touching on the topic of the afterlife. I think so many can relate to this song. This song is a perfect A+ for me. Now, I know a lot of my listeners who love metal music may think that song is boring, but I appreciate the melodies and the poeticness of this song. So that's a wrap of what's new with music. This definitely made up for having some shorter music segments that I have had. Hopefully this didn't bore you too much. So now I think it's time to dig into today's topic, which I titled Living Out Your Faith. Let's start with reading from the Bible in the book of James, chapter 2, verses 14 through 26. I will give you guys all a minute if you would like to follow along in your Bible. Again, it's the book of James, chapter 2, verses 14 through 26. I'll give you guys a minute. Okay, so we're in the book of James, chapter 2, verses 14 through 26. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith but do not have works? Can faith save you? If a brother or sister is naked and lacks daily food, and one of you says to them, "Go in peace, keep warm and eat your fill," and yet you do not supply their bodily needs, what is the good of that? So faith by itself, if it has no works, is dead. But someone will say, You have faith, and I have works. Show me your faith apart from your works, and I, by my works, will show you my faith. You believe that God is one, and you do well. Even the demons believe and shudder. Do you want to be shown, you senseless person, that faith apart from works is barren? Was not your ancestor Abraham justified by works when he offered his son Isaac on the altar? You see that faith was active along with his works, and faith brought to completion by the works. Thus the scripture was fulfilled that says, Abraham believed God, and it was reckoned to him as righteousness, as he was called the friend of God. You see that a person is justified by works and not by faith alone. Likewise, was not Rahab the prostitute also justified by works when she welcomed the messengers and sent them out by another road? For just as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is also dead. Okay. Have you ever been vulnerable with someone and shared your struggles with that person, and that person told you that they would pray for you? That person might even prayed with you, but then they go on their way. Have you ever heard the expression, thoughts and prayers? That may sound nice, but at the end of the day, that's all it is, thoughts and prayers. I am guilty of having someone telling me some of their shit that they went through, and I told them that I would pray for them. Then within an hour, my thoughts are on my day and what I am going through. You know what really counts? It is when you are actually there for that person, and if that person helps you through this situation. I'm not saying that praying for someone is bad or even a waste of time, but what I am saying that is what matters even more than that is someone being there for you. So many times people come to me in their situations and I have no idea what to say or how to help. And guess what? That's totally understandable. So many times people aren't even wanting, quote unquote, the answer. What they want is for you to be there with them. I have a poem in my first published book called Broken Worship, with this poem titled Broken Together. And the main stanza of the poem reads, Tonight, I don't want the answer. Please spare me your words of false sincerity. I've heard the lies 1,000 times, but I have yet to be just fine. Tonight, I don't want to hear a word. I just want you to be there. Let's be broken together. People value other people being genuine. They don't want any bullshit saying that everything is going to be okay. Because guess what? Oftentimes, things don't turn out okay. Loved ones pass away. There are relationships that are never restored. There are past traumas that don't go away. What they really want is for someone to listen and for someone to be there for them. There is healing in letting things out, and there's healing in a genuine embrace. Telling someone what they should have done differently or how to fix the problem really isn't going to solve anything. Being present and giving time is so valuable. I have said this many times if you have followed my podcast or any of my writings. God loves each and every one of us unconditionally. No matter what we do, nothing could ever make God stop loving you. Unfortunately, our sin separates us from an unfiltered relationship with God. God never steps away, but sometimes we step away from Him. But despite us stepping away, God, valuing our relationship with Him, attempts to come closer by sending His one and only Son, Jesus, to be the sacrifice for our sins. And Jesus, He ultimately died but was resurrected and conquered sin and death, giving us the perfect and ultimate gift of saving grace, so that if we accept that gift, we can restore our relationship with God and inherit eternal life with our Creator. When we accept that gift, we are born again and are given new life and new desires. We are to have the heart of the greatest commandment, which I like to paraphrase, loving God with all that we are and loving others as ourselves. If we just say that we believe in Jesus and do nothing about it, keep living a self-centered life around ourselves, there has been no heart change. As the verses I read said, even the devil and the demons believe in God. They know way more about the theology of God, than any human ever will. And yet they are not saved. They shudder at the very thought of God and the future that is prepared for them because of their disobedience. So if we genuinely are saved by grace, we cannot live a comfortable life that is focused on ourselves. When we turn on the news and see the horrors of the world, the hate, injustice, war, division, and the brokenness, we see the price of sin. When we follow Jesus and strive to live in the way He commands, we see true peace, true joy, and true love. That doesn't mean that we will live a problem-free, carefree, or perfect life, but it does mean that we have a new purpose, new desires, a new joy, a new peace, new hope, and we have true love. We are called to live in that love and share that love with others. We are to live in righteousness, not pursuing all of the pleasures of this world, but continually pursue God, seeking to continue in relationship with Him and spreading the love of God to others. If you have followed broken worship for any amount of time, you would probably know that Christians miss that mark far too often. Christians oftentimes poorly reflect Christ. I am not too prideful enough to admit that oftentimes I poorly reflect Christ. But Jesus Christ continually gives grace and continues to love us despite our flaws. We will never perfectly reflect the love of Christ, but every day we are to strive to love like Christ and grow in our relationship with Him. It is important to read the Bible and to grow in our faith. But you know what is more important? Living out your faith. We can go to church all we want. We can be in our Bible every chance we get. We can listen to as many sermons that are on earth. We can read the most intellectual theologians of our time. But if we don't live out the gospel and actually love God with all that we are and actually love our neighbor as ourselves, we have ultimately missed the point. There are so many churches and denominations. There are so many different theologies, so many different beliefs that it can make us blue in the face. But ultimately, the gospel is simple. It can be wrapped up in the greatest commandment. When we ultimately seek first loving God with everything that we are, and when we strive to love our neighbor as ourselves, that is the mark of a true born-again believer. That is when we live out the gospel. Going back to the point I was making about just being there for someone, giving them your time and a listening ear, there is this guy that Debbie and myself really enjoy talking to at our local bar. He isn't a Christian, but he's a genuinely good and nice person. So one of the last times we were there, this guy was obviously shooken up. After we finished up having dinner with my dad, Debbie and I visited with him in the smoking area of the bar. We found out that his dad was just diagnosed with a tumor that is probably going to be fatal. This broke our friend's heart. He told us that everyone that he talked to about it pretty much had the attitude of saying, "Oh, I'm really sorry, man," and then intentionally tried to ignore him in that topic. Our friend genuinely thanked us because we were willing to stay with him and just listen. Nothing we could say would heal his dad from that tumor or make our friend feel any better. But we stayed with him, gave him our time, our listening ears, and we truly cared. I believe in that moment, as little as we feel like we could have done for him, we were showing him Christ's love and living out the gospel. And actually, the last time we saw him, I was able to show him the spoken word video called Moments, and he was really impacted by that, and so that really was awesome. So anyways, I hope that this message encouraged you in some way. I believe that this is a really important message to live by. Living out the gospel doesn't need to happen within the church doors. In fact, having faith and living out the gospel happens in everyday life. As I regularly say in this podcast, please don't let the flaws of Christianity keep you from experiencing the love of Christ in your own life. You are unconditionally loved by the God who created you. And He has a plan and a purpose for your life. I hope and pray that this resonates with you all. As I said earlier in this podcast, August is a big month for broken worship. I hope that you will consider celebrating my book's one-year-old birthday, Broken Worship, Ground to Stand On, with watching the release of my new spoken word video for my poem called Moments. This video is truly something special, so beautiful and poetic, with such an important message. I also hope that you will check out the Broken Worship website to check out some of the new merch that correlates with the Moments video, as well as so many other great items, other merch, as well as all of my published books. In the description below, I will attach the YouTube link for the new Moments video, as well as the link to the Broken Worship website. I want to thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Broken Worship podcast. If you would like to help support Broken Worship, I would love it if you would check out the Broken Worship website, which is www.broken-worship.com. All 5 of my published books, as well as dope Broken Worship merch, and also some sick Broken Worship posters are all available on the Broken Worship website. The link will be posted in the description below. Another easy way to support Broken Worship and to stay up to date with all things new for Broken Worship, please like, share, and subscribe on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. All of this information will be provided in the description below. Thanks again for tuning in to this episode of the Broken Worship Podcast. I am so humbled and blessed by all of the support I have received with Broken Worship. Thank you, and I love you all. Be sure to let everyone you know what we do here in the Broken Worship community. Here in the Broken Worship community, we remember, even in our brokenness, we have a reason to worship. Thank you, and God bless.
They say when it rains, it's poured, but I don't know